What if everything fans thought they knew about this situation is completely wrong? What if the real story isn't the one being discussed online, but something much deeper happening behind the scenes? What if the moment everyone saw was only a tiny part of a much bigger issue the team didn't want to reveal immediately? And what if the players involved weren't just reacting but responding to something they'd been dealing with for days? These are the questions fans should be asking right now, because once the truth comes out, it might change the entire way you see this incident. Most fans think they've already figured out what happened, but the truth paints a completely different picture. On the surface, the situation looked simple, almost routine, and many assumed it was nothing more than a standard decision. But behind the curtain, the reality couldn't be more opposite. While the public focused on highlights and reactions, the players and staff were dealing with a much more delicate and unexpected situation. What appeared normal from one angle was actually alarming from another. And the contrast between what fans saw and what really happened is exactly what makes this story so shocking. Something happened inside the clubhouse that no one expected, something small enough to go unnoticed at first, but significant enough to spark immediate concern behind closed doors. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't the kind of moment that makes headlines instantly. But once the truth slipped out, it connected every confusing detail fans noticed during the game. What unfolded next involved quiet conversations, unexpected reactions, and a decision that completely flipped the narrative. And now, as more details surface, it's clear this moment wasn't random at all. It was the beginning of a story fans won't believe. Before we jump into this unbelievable story, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all notifications so you never miss any Dodgers breaking news. Because today we're diving into something developing inside the Los Angeles Dodgers clubhouse, a situation involving Hyeseong Kim, Michael Conforto, and a surprising explanation straight from Shohei Ohtani. What looked like a simple in-game moment suddenly turned into questions, rumors, and real confusion among fans. Why did Hyeseong Kim and Conforto leave the game early? Was it an injury? Was it a strategy move? Or was something going on behind the scenes? Well, Ohtani finally broke the silence and revealed the real reason, and Dodgers fans honestly didn't expect this. It all started during a quiet moment in the dugout, quiet on the surface, but tense underneath. Fans watching the broadcast picked up on it instantly. Hyeseong Kim, who has been one of the most reliable players recently, suddenly wasn't on the bench. A few minutes later, Conforto was gone too. There was no signal from trainers, no clear injury on the field, and no explanation from the broadcast booth. Fans rushed to social media trying to figure out what was happening and whether something serious was unfolding. Most people assumed it was routine rest. But the timing didn't feel routine at all. The Dodgers were in a crucial stretch, fighting for positioning and trying to steady themselves after a roller coaster week of inconsistent play. Every inning mattered, every player mattered, and every decision Dave Roberts made was under a microscope. So when two players suddenly left early with zero information, the fanbase went into panic mode. Some fans said Kim looked uncomfortable in his last at-bat. Others thought Conforto might be dealing with something physical. And of course, some believed the team was hiding something. Then Shohei Ohtani stepped in. After the game, when a reporter casually asked about the situation, Ohtani didn't give a typical generic answer. He paused, took a breath, and explained exactly what happened, and his explanation changed the entire story. Ohtani revealed that both Kim and Conforto were pulled early because of internal discussions between players and the coaching staff, not about performance, not about strategy, but about preventing something far more serious, fatigue-related injuries. According to Ohtani, both players had been pushing themselves harder than anyone realized, not just on the field, but during practice, in the cage, and in all the unseen work they do behind the cameras. The staff noticed signs neither player wanted to admit: exhaustion, tight muscles, and early fatigue that could easily become real injuries. And that's where things took a turn. Ohtani said Kim had been dealing with lower body tightness that he was trying to play through because he didn't want to let the team down. Conforto, meanwhile, had a shoulder that started bothering him during swings. Neither player wanted to come out. Both wanted to battle through the game. But the Dodgers training staff and Ohtani himself stepped in and convinced them it wasn't worth risking long-term damage. The good news? Ohtani made it clear these were precautionary moves, not serious injuries. What shocked everyone was Ohtani admitting he personally encouraged the early exit. He said he's been in similar situations earlier in his career, ignoring warning signs and paying the price later, and he didn't want Kim or Conforto repeating those mistakes. He talked to them during the game, urging them to listen to their bodies instead of forcing a full 9 innings. He said the Dodgers are focused on the bigger picture, staying healthy for the playoff push. Fans were struck by how honest he was. No filters, no vague phrases, no scripted answers. Just real talk that immediately calmed the fanbase. The rumors of hidden conflicts or serious injuries suddenly disappeared. Ohtani made one thing clear: the decision was made to protect 2 key players. Some fans still wondered why the team didn't announce it earlier, instead of letting panic build online. But people close to the team said the decision happened quickly, and the Dodgers chose to clarify everything after the game. With Ohtani explaining it himself, the message felt even more trustworthy. Let's talk about Hyeseong Kim for a second. Since joining the Dodgers, he's been pushing himself harder than ever. His work ethic is something teammates constantly praise. He practices longer, works more reps, and wants to prove he belongs. Ohtani said Kim didn't want to come out at all. He even argued against it. But Ohtani noticed subtle signs of slightly off stride, extra stretching in the dugout, the kind of things only players recognize. It was becoming risky. Conforto, on the other hand, has dealt with shoulder issues in the past, and the Dodgers don't want that flaring up again. Ohtani mentioned Conforto took a swing that instantly looked wrong, and that was enough to raise concern. Again, it was all precautionary. But the biggest takeaway wasn't even the injuries, it was Ohtani's leadership. He spoke like the emotional captain of the team, even though he doesn't hold that title officially. He talked about protecting teammates, thinking about long-term success, and making sure no player feels guilty for stepping out when their body warns them. Fans have always admired him as a superstar, but moments like this showed why players trust him so deeply. The Dodgers medical staff later confirmed Ohtani's explanation. They said Kim and Conforto were removed to prevent small issues from becoming major problems. Early evaluations showed no serious injury, just warning signs that needed rest. That alone relieved thousands of fans who feared the worst. Then Ohtani added something even more surprising. He said the team has made a new internal agreement to speak up earlier about discomfort instead of hiding it. He admitted that players, especially on competitive teams like the Dodgers, often push themselves too far. And he said he's guilty of that too in the past. His honesty caught reporters off guard because Ohtani rarely opens up unless it really matters. Fan reactions exploded right after the interview. Many praised Ohtani for stepping up as the voice of the clubhouse. Others felt relieved knowing it wasn't a long-term injury. And a lot of fans were touched by how much Ohtani clearly cares about his teammates beyond the spotlight and stats. It became obvious this wasn't just a lineup change, it was a moment that showed the Dodgers' culture, protecting each other, thinking long-term, and understanding that sometimes stepping back is the smartest move. Right now, both Hyeseong Kim and Michael Conforto will be monitored closely. They may be day-to-day while they get evaluated. If everything looks good, they could return soon. But the team isn't rushing anything. Ohtani made that clear. The priority is staying healthy for the important stretch ahead. In the end, a moment that started with confusion turned into a moment of real leadership. Ohtani didn't just explain what happened, he restored trust. His honesty calmed the rumors. His leadership reassured fans. And his presence reminded everyone why he's more than a superstar, he's the heartbeat of this team. And that's the full story behind why Hyeseong Kim and Michael Conforto left the game early, and why Shohei Ohtani stepped up to reveal the truth. If you want more Dodgers updates, rumors, and inside stories like this, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss what comes next.